Missed an episode of your favorite podcast? Choose from over a decade of content in our archives, not just the latest episode. All free at GCNlive.com.
This is your call to action. Get prepared, America. Economy, survival, energy, disasters. This is USAPrepares.com. Informative radio, educational radio. Interact now by emailing instructor@usaprepares.com or text at 434-390-7953. Class, please take your seats. Now, your instructor, Vincent Finelli.
Everyone all set, cocked, locked. Here we go. Your dial set correctly to USA Prepares. Alex is engineering the broadcast in Minnesota. I'm Vincent Finelli. Dr. Shealy's with us. Dr. Shealy, are you blissed?
Yes.
Dr. Shealy, is there anything that you'd like to share with us before we go into the rest of today's broadcast?
Well, interestingly, at some point I'd like to talk with you about Moringa, Moringa.
Okay.
It's a very fascinating plant.
Well, let's do it.
Okay. Well, I actually, probably 10 years ago at some meeting, they were telling me to toughen up a little bottle of capsules. I just, as with 90% of what I take, once I start, I never stop. But then, about 2 weeks ago, a friend sent me some packets of the dried powder made by a specific company. And I took one, and I had 2 days of the most remarkable, delightful, increased energy, etc. So I began looking up this plant. And the capsules are, okay. They don't do anything exceptional, I think. But this particular powder is quite remarkable because it includes it includes the seed, the leaves, and the fruit in a dried powder. And I'm now convinced that it has more potential health benefits than any other known plant.
Pretty strong statement.
Yeah. Well, I've done hours, and I stand by it. In fact, I'm going to write a chapter on it in my new book.
That sounds wonderful, and from what I understand, it's spelled Moringa.
Yes.
And according to what I've learned recently about Moringa, it's like the fountain of youth.
Exactly.
Because
it's sometimes called the miracle tree. And it's, by the way, it has a second name. It's Moringa, Oleifera, oleifera. It is an analgesic. It's anti-inflammatory. It's anti-diarrhea, including even for severe ulcerative colitis. It's anti-cancer, better than any other known plant. It has a modest aphrodisiac effect. It's excellent for benign prostatic hypertrophy. I don't know any other plant that crosses every single thing the way this does.
And
now,
from my understanding, it also treats high blood pressure.
Oh, yes, and cholesterol lowering and diabetes. Improves mental clarity, anti-inflammatory, lowers cholesterol. I'm just reading the whole list right now. Lowers blood sugar, eliminates constipation, improves skin health, reduces wrinkles and aging, improves digestion, detoxifies the body, improves wound healing, improves peptic ulcers, increases energy and endurance, strengthens the immune system, improves vision, antidepressant, improves libido, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Sounds like something Hollywood would fall all over. You know?
Well, they don't like to do anything that good.
Well, they go for surgery to have their skin look better.
I know, but
yeah. Well, I understand it also treats asthma.
Well, it's good for breathing, yes, so it would. And that's part of the immune system benefit. Yep.
And epilepsy.
Yep.
Arthritis also.
Oh, yeah.
And other joint pain like rheumatism.
Yep. Again, I know of no single plant food that comes close to this.
So can we grow this tree? Can we buy the fruit? What do we do?
It probably is a bit too cold here occasionally. It doesn't like to go down that much below zero. And it actually wouldn't like our humidity. It grows in the very dry, deserty areas of Asia.
Okay. Okay, I found some seeds. You can buy seeds and plant your own tree. You can
I'm going to try it.
Me too. Yeah. You can buy trees. Trees aren't all that cheap. 5 to 6 foot tree that you can get is $119 or $120.
Well, that saves you probably 5 years.
Yeah. Yeah. This sounds absolutely fascinating, Dr. Shealy. So let's go through the spelling one more time. Moringa. Second word Oleifera. And Moringa. And the common names are drumstick tree, horseradish tree, Ben, B-E-N, oil tree, or benzoil, B-E-N-Z-O-I-L tree. So it looks like this is really, really worth pursuing. And so how do you take this, Dr. Shealy? Do you take it once a day, twice a day, spoonful,
once
capsule?
a day. Well, I prefer, now that I've tried it the way that my friend sent it to me, I only like it as a drink in a slush. And so it takes about an ounce of the dried combination of leaf, flower, and seed.
Well, it sounds to me like we should be growing our own. That way we can make sure that if we're going to have the leaves, that they haven't been out there in the Monsatan rain. And,
right.
Right?
Well, I just found an ad for 1,000 moringa seeds.
Yeah.
We should start a plantation.
Yeah. 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 I found a tree, a small plant, and you can buy them. It's a seedling or a sapling, and they're $6 a piece. So absolutely fascinating.
Sounds good.
So by the end of the day, we'll probably run these guys out of product. Sounds absolutely fascinating. I'm going to try buying some as well. And, it's the kind of thing that this sounds so important that we should probably grow them inside to make sure that, they do work it out here in Missouri.
Right.
LED lighting for them, give them everything that they need to thrive. So now, do you need 2 in order to bear fruit?
It doesn't. I don't know that yet. It says they grow easily from seeds to cutting, and it actually says they bloom 8 months after planting. And again, they survive winter. That's the thing. They love warmth, sunlight, and some water. If it goes below 32, you could grow it, but it will likely not survive. Okay, so now we know it won't survive here outside.
Yeah, it sounds like what my mom used to say about Italian cars. She said that Italian cars are like Italian people. They like warm weather. They don't like it when it's cold.
I must be Italian then because I love warm weather.
Well, during the 1960s, she had or 70s, she had a Fiat 850 convertible Spider, a 2-seater Fiat car. And It was okay in the summer, but it really didn't like the winter. Absolutely fascinating, Dr. Shealy. So, are there any downsides to the moringa?
Not that I've
Seeds,
seen.
plant, leaves, fruit?
And even the root, by the way.
Okay. Well, I'm pretty excited about it. Actually, I'm very excited about it. And what I noticed, it was really hot over the weekend. Was it hot over in your neck of Missouri as well? Was it unbearable like it was here?
Yeah. It's been humid and hot, but as I said, I like heat, so it doesn't bother me.
Mm-hmm. I was actually the entire Finelli family was working baling hay, so we were cutting it, we were tedding it, we were raking it, and we were baling it, and everyone was busy. I mean, from sun up to sundown for the last 3 days. Absolutely, we baled total about 1/3 pounds of hay this year, and it was just nonstop. But yeah, it was something else. The most we've ever baled in that short of a time. But the heat was so hot that I had to do a couple things. I had to keep hosing off the radiator of the tractors to get all the dust off them, so that the engines would run a little bit, just barely under overheating all the time. And that's how hot it was. And that was one of the questions I wanted to ask you. So there's there are two things I wanted to ask you about this. And I find that, I think, at least from my perspective, there are similarities between the way machines, engines, equipment, cars, tractors, and so forth operate and the human body. So, for example, in order to keep the engine from overheating, I had to get all the dust off the radiator. I had to hose it down, literally, to get all the dust off it. And when we get hot, we take our shirts off, put shorts on. We want more surface area to remove the heat, right? Isn't that what we do?
Oh, yeah.
Sure. Okay. Well, the next thing I found out, that worked, but it didn't quite work completely. So I put a product, an additive, a supplement, if you will, in the radiator called a wetting agent. So what's wetter than water? By the way, did they teach you that in medical school, Dr. Shealy? Really, what's wetter than water? Did they teach you that?
No.
I'm serious. Okay.
I don't
Well,
think so.
there are things that are wetter than water. And for example, if you take and I love to try to teach ticks how to swim. So when I find a tick crawling on me, I'll walk over, I'll pull it off me. Before it's dug into me, I'll pull it off and I'll put it in like a glass of water in the kitchen sink, and he'll be able to stand and not sink because the surface tension of the water is sufficient where he can kind of swim, if you will, on top. Well, if you put one drop of dishwashing liquid in that glass of water, it reduces the surface tension so where the tick sinks immediately. Okay, he can no longer walk on the water. Well, that is now wetter than water, and you can absorb more heat with something wetter than water in your radiator. We'll be right back. That's Dr. Norman Shealy's with us, normshealy.com, NORMSHEALY, normshealy.com. And if you'd like to go to the website, that's the place to go. And if you'd like to buy his books, his supplements, the website, normshealy.com. And if you'd like to call his office, make an appointment to talk to Dr. Norman Shealy, 417-351-5221. 417-351-5221. Normal business hours, please. And that's in Springfield, Missouri, Central Time Zone. So, Dr. Shealy, seriously, I wasn't kidding about this wetter than water thing. And so I just happened to be in chemistry class at the university, and I heard that term, wetter than water. What's wetter than water? And it's like a test question. And there are things that are wetter than water. So literally, if you have an engine and the engine has a cast iron block, it's kind of it's got an irregular surface. It's a pebbly, bumpy surface on the inside, and it's difficult for the coolant to get past all those irregularities. Well, if you have a reduced surface tension, like, and don't do this, but if you add liquid detergent, a very tiny amount, you'd have something wetter than water, and it would cool better. But it might have some other properties that make you'd have cavitation problems. But so what I did was, because the engines were overheating out in the field because it was so hot, and we were really stressing the engines baling hay over the weekend, I put a wetting agent into the radiator, and it reduced the surface tension, and the engines ran cooler. So the reason I'm mentioning this on a broadcast where we talk about medicine is there's something that I know that absolutely is true, but I'd like to know what the medical reason is, Dr. Shealy, and that is, when I talked about washing off the radiator, if I'm really hot and I'm oily and sticky, I feel a lot better after I've taken a shower. Do you think it's the same reason that we improve the heat transfer that our skin has when we're clean versus oily and sticky?
I think so.
Okay. And then, is there a substance, a supplement, an ingredient that we can add to our food, or can we take it that would be like the equivalent of that wetting agent for the body that I put in the engine? Now, obviously, you don't want to put this wetting agent. It's probably toxic. But is there something that we can consume when it's going to be just unbearably hot outside, and we know that we're going to be subject to it?
I like ice water, but being facetious. But a cold, frozen slush of some kind would probably be, I have a feeling that this is a time when peppermint, which is excellent as a hot tea, a cold peppermint tea would probably help cool you off.
Okay. It makes sense to me. And what I'm trying to figure out is, because of this wetting agent, this agent that would improve the heat transfer ability of the coolant, our blood is circulating through our system. Is there something that we would consume, and maybe that peppermint is the answer, that would improve our blood's ability to, well, isn't our blood part of our cooling system?
Oh, yeah.
Taking the heat away from our organs, bringing it out to our skin?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. 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 So is there anything else that you would recommend in that line of thinking that would improve the heat transferability? And here's why I'm saying this. I got a chance to experience excruciating heat. The sun's rays were unbearable. I didn't have a lot of choices. I was literally wearing a long-sleeve shirt to protect myself from the sun's rays, a hat, leather gloves, and I'm out there in the sun, just trying to protect myself from the UVA, B, and C from the sun's rays. And I was being cooked. All of us were being cooked. But I have a feeling that if the grid goes down, we're not just going to be able to jump in the house and just surf on the internet, until the sun goes down. I think we're going to have to deal with it. So that's why I'm asking the question, what can we do? Maybe the Moringa plant would help us.
Yeah.
Well, I'm willing to try it. I certainly am. So I'm going to get some plants and start the easy way. I'd rather cut off those 5 or 6 years from the growing cycle. And as you experiment and learn more about it, Dr. Shealy, can you share with us what your findings are with the Moringa plant? Moringa. We'll be right back. Dr. Norm Shealy is with us, medical doctor, surgeon of the year, neurosurgeon, brain surgeon, author. Dr. Shealy, smart meters, very quickly. What are your thoughts about smart meter radiation? Do they actually cause disease?
Well, I don't think we can say unequivocally. We know that many, including cell phone, electronic devices are harmful. And as you know, I won't go near one. So if something like a cell phone is harmful, a smart meter, which is infinitely more powerful, certainly can be useful. the point is, we have so many toxicity in the world today, we just don't need one more.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm thinking about if I went to Springfield, Missouri, I could not get away from a smart meter electromagnetic radiation field. I couldn't get away from it. If I went to Lebanon, Missouri, and I went to went shopping, let's say, it's almost impossible to get away from electromagnetic radiation in the microwave band because smart meters are everywhere. And the electric utility, the cooperative, insisted, under threat of calling the police and having me arrested, that they put one on my farmhouse. They literally told me that if I didn't allow them to do it, they would call the police and have me arrested on my own property. So, so that's why I'm running for the fourth time to get these smart meters removed from Laclede Electric Cooperative. So I've just been approved, certified by the CEO in the last few days that I am a candidate again for the board of directors for Laclede Electric. And I have a feeling this time they will have the police ready to haul me off stage, because I will stay on longer than the 2 minutes that they're allowing me. So I can describe, some of the concerns that we have, or I have. But according to my research, that this electromagnetic radiation from smart meters can cause tinnitus, memory loss, seizures, increase the risk of cancer, DNA damage, have reproductive health effects, damage to the nervous system. I mean, there's a lot of serious concerns and studies that have proven that this is dangerous stuff. You can't see it. You can't feel it. Well, I mean, you can feel it. You can become confused when you're around a smart meter, and you can become lethargic, and you can have pain. But it's not something that you can grab and hold on to, because it's a wavelength. And to me, it's the dumbest thing, the most irresponsible thing that we've done, aside from Roundup and nuclear radiation. At least that's my take on it. Any comments, Dr. Shealy, before we continue?
Nope. Sounds good.
All right. Well, 15 minutes before today's broadcast, the most amazing thing happened. Boy, it's very frustrating. Mrs. Finelli hopped on the computer, and she said, "You got to come see this right now, because you're going on the air in 15 minutes." She said, "We're locked out of the internet." Yeah, we were. We have the worst telecom provider in the galaxy. It's called CenturyLink. And a message came up on the screen that said to the effect that you will have to go through this 15-minute procedure before you will be able to use the internet. Class, what I'm saying is I experienced the internet kill switch this morning just before the broadcast. I experienced what the internet kill switch is like, although it wasn't called that. Now, this is for my own safety, for my own protection. The telecommunications provider that we've had since we've been here at the farm, 15 years, locked me out of the internet for my own protection. And they said that I would not be able to do things. I couldn't get email. I couldn't go check the weather. And farming, we look at all kinds of weather reports so that we know what other people think about what weather we're going to experience. We couldn't do anything, could not get to the World Wide Web until we did two things. One is click here to agree to the new terms and conditions of CenturyLink, and then I could continue by answering a whole bunch of questions. And it took about 15 minutes. I went through the process. They had a gun to my head. I was going on the air. I could not use the internet. I couldn't broadcast across the internet unless I agreed to all these things. That's what they do. So, class, I'm not kidding. I think that is a kind of a test of the internet kill switch. And if you want to experience what it's like, just wait. Just subscribe to CenturyLink, and you'll get a chance soon. It's horrible. And they control it. Literally, I am connected. I have I've got the connection, the physical connection, but I can't go anywhere until I agree to their terms and conditions, their new terms and conditions. And they can do this, I don't know, every hour if they want. They can do it every day, every other day. So I just want to let you know, get ready, because if you think the internet is going to be available 24/7, or like a first world country would normally have, I don't think that's going to be the case in the future. I think what I just experienced this morning is the tip of the iceberg. Any thoughts, Dr. Shealy, on that?
I'm with you all the way.
Pretty frustrating.
Well, let's face it. The important thing is that those in power, 9 out of 10 times, and maybe greater, lose ethics, and that's being kind. I mean, Google, for instance, is now blocking some of the great people in the world because they don't want to give them any exposure. I don't trust practically anyone I know except you and a few others. It's that simple.
Well, I feel the same way, Dr. Shealy. YouTube. So every broadcast day, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, Ron Gibson, a wonderful gentleman, captures the broadcast from a stream, edits out the commercials, and puts USA Prepares commercial free on YouTube. YouTube then inserts 11 commercials in our broadcast. And people used to think that we were doing it. We're not doing it. YouTube does it. YouTube inserts 11 commercials. And is that discouraging? Absolutely, it's discouraging. Class, if you want to see it, you can listen to USA Prepares many ways. You can listen on GCNlive.com, GCN as in Genesis Communications, LIVE, live.com. You can go to the archives. You can listen live. There are lots of ways. And just look up USA Prepares. There are about 66 broadcasters on GCN Live. You can go to Republic Broadcasting, republicbroadcasting.org. You can listen to us on their archives, or you can listen to us every morning between 6 o'clock and 8 o'clock a.m. Then there are other ways you can listen as well, and you can listen to us on the Ron Gibson channel without the commercials, except YouTube puts in 11 more commercials. So, and you would think that they'd leave us alone. No. Now, if they say we have only a few hundred listeners on the Ron Gibson channel, I don't believe it's true, because if it were true, they wouldn't have 11 commercials. They are literally trying to keep our message, in my opinion, from being heard. Because why else would they put 11 commercials on our daily broadcast? 11 commercials. Absolutely outrageous. So, just a thought, you're right. Our message, and it's not just our message alone, there are other messages like our message who are being stomped down. And it's hard to find us. If you do searches, it's difficult to find us. If you try to find the current broadcast, it's difficult on YouTube. On YouTube. So the search engines are, what are they? I don't think it's called delisting, but it's pushing us down lower, so it's harder to find us. So I just wanted to share that with our class. Smart meters, just one more thing. Joey sent me a link to this company called Mito Copper, M-I-T-O, Copper, C-O-P-P-E-R. And they make a stainless steel, very, very fine mesh that is fabricated to fit over your smart meter. So it's like not a colander, but a screen, and that you might use in cooking. And it's very, very fine mesh. It's stainless steel. You put it over your smart meter. It's $65. Seems expensive to me, but you put it over your smart meter, and it allegedly will block somewhere in the 98% of the electromagnetic frequencies coming out of your smart meter. Another way to do it, class, is you take a metal coffee can, like a 3-pound coffee can, and you put that over your smart meter. And that's what I do, because I want to make sure my smart meter, they're so darn expensive. I'd hate to have anything happen to them. So I have a coffee can over mine, and you can try that as well. But you need to have a real tight fitting seal. So those are a couple things that I wanted to mention. I'm really excited about the Moringa plant, Dr. Shealy. Our son mentioned something to me last night. He saw an article on the internet, and this has to do with the mind, the brain. And dailymail.co.uk article titled, "Mental Health of 3 Generations Has Been Harmed by the Holocaust as Research Suggested the Physical Effects of Witnessing the Genocide Are Still Present in the Brains of Survivors' Grandchildren." So what they're saying, Dr. Shealy, is the mental health of at least 3 generations of the same family has been impacted by the Holocaust. So have you had any experience witnessing traumatic injuries, traumatic stress, enormous fears that has been passed down through generations, even though the next generation or the following generation has not physically experienced that horror?
Unequivocally, and interestingly, I mean, in one sense, Vince, that is not that different from a trauma in your past life or several past lives ago manifesting in this life. In other words, our own Akashic record, if you will, seems never to go away. And so anything that's happened to you, anything that's happened to a direct relative of yours, is potentially still in your, memory system. Am I being too vague?
Okay. No. Not at all. I believe what we're talking about is that if someone were a captive in Auschwitz and experienced the horrors of starvation, beatings, watching their peers die, in their sleep, or die from beatings, or die from trauma, or die from disease, that had an effect on them, but that effect has been transmitted. I just ordered 3 of them, and I'd like to share with our class what I found out. So they were $6 a piece, and by the time shipping and handling and all that, I bought 3 trees. I wanted to have 2 in case I needed them to bear fruit. And I thought 1 extra one just in case one of them doesn't make it. So I bought 3 of them, and the total bill was $29, shipping, handling, and everything. And they say it's ready to ship in 3 business days. So those are little saplings, and I ordered them, and it took, I got it done all within the commercial break time. So it can be done, and I ordered them from a company called Urban Moringa, URBANMORINGA, Urban Moringa. So, Dr. Shealy, if you'd like, I can send you a link, and in case you want to try them. But you can buy the seeds on Amazon. You can buy them on eBay. You can buy the powder. Dr. Shealy, are you considering offering one of your tested products as a Moringa powder on your website?
Well, I'm trying to find out whether they will let me be an independent distributor, the company that I think makes the best product. I haven't learned yet whether you can buy it from them. But if I could get it, I will definitely, add it to our store.
Great. That'd be wonderful, because that way we would know that you've tested it and it's Dr. Shealy approved. That'd be great. Okay. I'm looking forward to hearing more about that. So, Dr. Shealy, back to the horrors of the Third Reich and these concentration camps where people were subjected to experiments and so forth. They say that the gray matter, the memory, a whole bunch of different maladies have occurred to these people through the starvation, through chemical testing, physical testing, surgical testing, temperature testing, altitude testing, and all the things that some of these prisoners have experienced, they have been damaged, and that the brains of their offspring is damaged to some extent as well. So is there anything else that you wanted to share about that?
Well, one of the interesting people who wrote a book about converting from being a lawyer to an intuitive 6-foot tall lady who wrote Conversations with Angels. In there she said, in that DNA that is said to have no use is stored the memories of all of our ancestors. So again, this fits my concept of what I've seen in working with people through many generations, that somehow you inherit not just the genes, but the memories of things that happened to your ancestors.
It's fascinating that you're saying that, because I'm thinking about this series of battles that I'm going through with Laclede Electric Cooperative. I absolutely am not willing to let them walk on the little people. I'm not willing to let them beat us up through these nonstop rate increases, through the waste, through the excessive compensation packages that the senior management gives themselves, and that the hiding of information of the ratepayers, or what's called the members. As a matter of fact, I asked the CEO last week. I sent him an email, and I said, "What is your compensation package and the compensation package of senior management?" And I got a response that said, "I'm not going to tell you, and we don't have to tell you." And then I also asked him, "How many lawsuits are we in? Is the electric cooperative involved in, and how much are we paying in legal fees?" And the response was, "I'm not going to tell you." So I have this, I guess it's a burning, innate, in DNA desire to engage these guys, to do battle with them. And I don't think it came from me. I think it was built in. I think this is just the way I'm wired. Is that possible, Dr. Shealy, that I can't help this behavior when I feel threatened and attacked, I come out swinging? Is that?
No. I think this is all part of the whole, so to speak. We are complex, interdimensional beings.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I believe that my dad, who was Italian, blonde and blue, tall guy, not typical Italian, I believe that when the Vikings came to northern Italy and had their way with some of the women, I believe that somewhere in my lineage is Viking. Although I'm not considered Viking, I'm considered of Italian heritage, and I think that that's what's coming out with Laclede Electric Cooperative. I just will not stand for it. Dr. Shealy, when we come back, let's talk about swimming in poop, E. coli, when you go swimming in the swimming pool with people that have diarrhea. Let's talk about that when we come back. Or going to the zoo and getting E. coli. We'll be right back after time. Everyone all set? Cocked, locked. Hour number 2 of USA Prepares. Dr. Norman Shealy's with us, normshealy.com, NORMSHEALY.com. Dr. Shealy, when I was growing up, at a young age, there was a local YMCA site. We lived in the countryside, and my mom could drive me, many miles to the local outdoor YMCA pool, and it had chlorine and all that. And they had a little baby pool, and people would say, "Don't go in the baby pool." You'd see young toddlers in there with their diapers on. It's like, who wants to swim in pee? Well, the big pool, I think, was almost as bad as the baby pool. Dr. Shealy, swimming in a public pool, I don't think I'd want to do that ever again. Do you have any thoughts about that because of all these dirty rear ends that people have, and in the pool they go?
It's like swimming in the toilet. so to speak. I mean, obviously, there's chlorine in almost all swimming pools, but still, I haven't seen anybody take samples and test them to see whether they grow E. coli. That would be the number one contaminant, but it could be any bacteria, of course, depending upon who pooped where.
Yeah, well, some people are more clean than others, and I see in the cities when it gets really hot, you see images of these fountains, and people jump in the fountains, and they just can't wait to just go in those fountains. And I have no idea who they are, nor how clean they are. And I've got to tell you, if I had a swimming pool, I wouldn't tell people. I wouldn't want them saying, "Hey, I'm coming over. I'm looking forward to it."
Well, interesting. My daughter and her husband recently installed a lovely pool, and I did go over and had a wonderful afternoon there, and we'll have others.
Yeah, but you raised your daughter. I mean, she knows about sanitation and disease, and she's a lovely person. I've met her many, many times, and she's just delightful. But I think it's one thing to swim with family. I think it's another thing to swim with strangers.
No, I totally agree. I would not consider it a desirable thing to do.
Yeah. So there's a story on the internet, Daily Mail, and it says, "Stop swimming with diarrhea. Fecal germs have sickened."
Oh, you do find interesting things.
Stop, quote, I can't take credit for this. Someone else wrote this. Stop swimming with diarrhea. Fecal germs have sickened thousands of swimmers and have killed at least 8. The CDC, 8 in the last decade, the CDC warns. The CDC is urging Americans to stop swimming in public pools with diarrhea. So I guess what they're saying is, if you have diarrhea, don't go swimming in the pool, because other people will. I mean, really, you have to tell people this, I guess, because the GDP doesn't quite understand it. But it's mainly from bacteria. People get diseases in hotel pools, mainly from bacteria which can spread from fecal matter. Now, I've been to hotels and motels, and some of the more upscale ones have these whirlpool tubs. And I'll tell you what, Dr. Shealy, I have no temptation whatsoever to get in a whirlpool tub that has plumbing, outside the tub, where the water from the tub gets circulated around and around and around and gets trapped in low, still, even when you drain the water, there's still water in the motor, the pump, the pump motor, the low lying plumbing, because some of the plumbing is not rigid, and plumbing doesn't drain out completely when you drain the whirlpool tub. There's no way I'm getting in one of those. It's tough enough for me to stand in a shower after I wash it out that has a drain in it, at a motel. So, any thoughts on that, Dr. Shealy?
I'm with you all the way.
What about a hot tub? Now, you have a hot tub. What do you do to protect yourself from bacteria spreading within your own hot tub? Is there something that you do to kill the bacteria?
Actually, I use a copper compound. I don't use chlorine. There is a copper compound that you can actually use to detoxify or clean it.
Mm-hmm. Okay. When I lived in Virginia, we installed a swimming pool, an in-ground swimming pool, and it had the contractor that put it in said, okay, just get the chlorine and all that. And I said, I don't really want to do that. So we put in a filter instead of the standard sand and gravel pool filter. We put in one that used diatomaceous earth, and diatomaceous earth is a white powder. It's the consistency of white flour, but it's not. and it is porous. It's like a honeycomb, and the water goes through that, and the particles that are in the water get trapped in this honeycomb of diatomaceous earth. And ultimately, you will flush out the diatomaceous earth when it gets plugged up. But it captures the big stuff. But when I say big, I mean multi-cells. You know, it'll trap multicellular size bacteria and parasites and dead organisms and so forth. But in addition to that, before that, I installed what's called an ionizer, a pool ionizer, and it used a copper and silver alloy, 2 electrodes. Think of it like 2 briquettes, 2 charcoal briquettes, and one had a positive lead and the other had a negative lead, and just a couple of volts of electricity, very low current, direct current, and the pool water would flow between these 2 electrodes. And copper and silver ions would be released into the pool water, and it would kill, the copper and the silver would kill the bacteria and make the pool water safe. And it was absolutely fabulous. So there's an electrical version or electronic version of what you're talking about that works great on pools. So class, if you want to look it up, look up pool ionizer. Okay, pool ionizer, and that'll help you. Let's see. I got a question from a caller who is not on the air and wanted to know about the Moringa plant. So let me spell it for you. They wanted to know the link. So all you have to do, class, is search on the word Moringa. And this is what Dr. Shealy was talking about in hour number 1. Absolutely fabulous, fabulous discovery, I believe, that he has come up to. Moringa, M-O-R-I-N-G-A, M-O-R-I-N-G-A. And I typed in to a search engine, Moringa plant, and Moringa, plant. And I came up with these search results. And one of them was from Etsy, E-T-S-Y, and it says organic Moringa tree, sapling/seedling, $6, no tax. So I clicked on that, and I decided I would buy these saplings. And I'm guessing they're like maybe 6 inches to 8 inches tall. I don't know for sure. $6 a piece. So I bought 3 of them, and I put 3 in the cart, and I went to buy them. And I checked the shipping first. It was $11 to ship 3 of them. I thought, oh, that's kind of high, but I guess it's reasonable. So for a total of $29, I ended up with 3 organic Moringa saplings and seedlings. I'll tell you about what they look like when they arrive, but that's how I found them. And what Dr. Shealy said, Dr. Shealy, can you just repeat one more time some of your thoughts about what Moringa is used for? Because I think there are many people who have listened to this that are fascinated by this.
Well,
what
interestingly,
yeah.
It looks to me as if it has more potential health benefits than any other single plant, maybe any other single thing on Earth. It lowers cholesterol, it lowers blood pressure, it helps control diabetes, it improves immunity, it's anti-cancer, it's antidepressant, it's good for your skin. I mean, it just seems to be a true miracle tree. There are a number of places where it's called miracle tree, but it has more wonderful health benefits than any other single thing that I know of.
Are there any side effects that you are aware of, concerned about with Moringa, M-O-R-I-N-G-A?
I presume that there are, but I've not found. I've spent hours searching the literature, and I have not found any single complication of using it.
Okay, so if you were to describe what your reaction to Moringa was, how long did it take you to say, I think there's some effect here? How long did it take? Was it minutes? Was it hours? Was it days?
It was maybe 20 minutes. I drank this slush that, actually just powder mixed in water. And within 20 minutes, I felt, wow, this is better than iced coffee. It just had this feeling of benefit throughout the body and mind.
some of my research has led me to even more interesting information than I already had learned, and that is that some people are applying it directly to the skin.
Oh, yeah.
As an astringent for treating pockets of infection or abscesses, athlete's foot, dandruff, gum disease, gingivitis, snake bites, warts, and wounds.
And again, it looks to me as if it's at the top of my list for people with benign prostatic hypertrophy.
And that, in layman's terms, Dr. Shealy, is?
An enlarged prostate. And the most common male defect, if you will, or problem.
Mm-hmm. So, class, simply just do a search on Moringa, Moringa, and I put in a comma after it and the word plant. And that's where I found I could buy it. Dr. Shealy, so once I have this Moringa tree growing, what do I do with it? Do I just grind up the leaves?
Well, from what I can tell, when it's about 30 inches tall, you can actually just even cut the top off and grind up the whole thing, bark and everything, and eat it, but especially the leaves. I would like to wait for the fruit myself. Mm-hmm. I would want to, see what the fruit itself tastes like. But apparently the leaves, the seeds, and the fruit are all health-enhancing.
Well, I'm all excited about this, Dr. Shealy. I'm going to grow it in the house, probably outside. Once I get it started, I'll put it outside. But then it's coming back in the house. I'm going to get a hand truck, and I'm going to be able to move it in and out as necessary. And class will keep you up to speed on how it's working here, and I'm sure Dr. Shealy will as well. Mark, you're up next when we come back. Class, Dr. Norman Shealy's with us. Mark in Philadelphia. Welcome. You're on with Dr. Norman Shealy.
Good morning, Vincent. Good morning, Dr. Shealy. It's been a while since I called in, Vincent. I've been very busy in transitions, and I've been listening to you on the rewind. Concerning, and I talked with you, Dr. Shealy, at length about the deal about PTSD, and I do have PTSD from not only this lifetime, from my early childhood, but also from my great-great-grandfather who served in the Civil War out of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, and the Battle of the Wilderness, first day he was captured, taken prisoner, and he was taken to Andersonville. He survived hell. He survived 11 months in Andersonville. 41,000 men went through that camp. 13,000 died within weeks of entering it. So that means that 28,000, he was one of 28,000 that survived that horrible, horrible place. So now the thing is, when I was growing up there in southern Missouri, I had no idea about my family because I was adopted. Not until 2 years ago did I find out that my great-great-grandfather was in the Civil War. The thing about it is, in school, and I did very well in scholastics, and I really liked history. Ancient history really fascinated me. But when it came time to talk about the Civil War, I didn't want to have a damn thing to do with it from the time I was young, and with knowing very little about it. And my classmates, because I went to a small country school, so we knew each other pretty well through the years, they would say, well, what's going on? What's wrong, Mark? Why are you so upset? I don't know. I just don't like it. It's the stupidest thing we ever did. Then in my 30s, I started having dreams, terrifying dreams about being on a battlefield. This is real, folks. We do carry the memories of our forefathers. And Dr. Shealy, I am healing from this now. I'm attempting to. Now, I've talked with you about these other possibilities of assisting, ways of methodologies of supporting me in this healing. And I understand your reluctance to say that there might be ways with these different alternative methods, including hallucinogens.
I'm pretty open, Mark.
Yeah. Right.
To me, the single best thing is something we call past life therapy, where we put you into a guided imagery state where you're perfectly conscious. You're not in a deep hypnotic trance. You remember everything, and are asked to travel back through time and space and, experience whatever. And it works remarkably well in about 98% of people to help get rid of what I call unfinished trauma from the past.
Okay. Well, I would like to ask you, and Vincent, I'm inquiring to you because you're the facilitator here. You're the go-between for Dr. Shealy and also Dr. Ram, because Richard Allen Miller is fascinating to me, and he's delved into the study of these alternatives of these hallucinogens and what they might offer. But so I don't know, maybe you can bridge the gap because I've heard ayahuasca is used by the Native Americans to do these soul journeys, and actually it heals you from, or has the potential of healing. It also has the potential of opening up your channels to dark energies, I guess. But anyway, I don't know. I'm a little bit, because I appreciate both men's input and perspective and experience. So what say you, Vincent, about this kind of thing? You've shared a little bit about your past life, and you're sharing about what you're dealing with the electric company now. And so what say you, Vincent?
Well, all right. Okay. I'd like to say this, that I have experienced a past life regression with Dr. Norman Shealy at his clinic north of near Springfield, Missouri.
Yeah.
Right on his farm. He has a clinic building there, and it was videotaped. And let me ask Dr. Shealy. Dr. Shealy, what you saw of me during that session, which lasted about 1 hour, that was videotaped, did that seem like I was the person that you thought I was? Or was I different from what you thought I was? Do I behave differently?
No, it seemed exactly real.
Can I hold, Vin?
Absolutely. Sure. Absolutely. Mark in Philadelphia is with us. Dr. Norman Shealy is with us. And we're talking about past life regression. We're talking about trauma. And I mentioned today that maybe I'm the way I am because of DNA. I probably can't help engaging in fights that are attacking little people. We'll be right back. Class Dr. Norman Shealy is with us, and medical doctor. Mark in Philadelphia, Mark the Spark, is with us. And Mark brought up past life during the War of Northern Aggression, also known as the War Between the States, Andersonville, Georgia. About 45,000 Union men were taken prisoner there. About 13,000 died of scurvy, dysentery, diarrhea. Captain Henry Riz, W-I-R-Z, was in charge of the camp. He was tried, convicted, and executed for his atrocities, war crimes at Andersonville. The death rate was about 29%. The Confederates on duty, guarding the Union prisoners, had a death rate of about 10%. At its height, 100 men died a day at Andersonville. It is an atrocity that was all-American. We did it. Well, not we, but those who were alive back then did it. It did not have to happen, but the conditions were such that disease was rampant, scurvy, dysentery, and diarrhea, and it was so bad, the concentration of prisoners in this small area, which was probably just twice the size of our farm here, twice the size of Dr. Shealy's farm, or the size of Dr. Shealy's farm and our farm put together was the size of this prison camp in which 45,000 Union prisoners were kept, and 29% of them died as a result of it. So it was horrible. It was horrific. It was an atrocity. So I just wanted to mention that. Mark, from my experience with the past life regression with Dr. Shealy, it was something that I was willing to do. It was something that I did not resist. But I found myself as a guerrilla warrior at some point in my, well, we'll call it a previous life. And it was the same thing. It's the same thing I'm experiencing right now. It's so few people are willing to join in to the battle. So few. And the setting was this. It was a countryside setting, very few people in the village. And I tried to get the men to become defenders of the village, defenders of their own family, defenders of themselves. And the enemy was coming, and they were burning down the fourth village away, then the third village away. They were stealing and destroying everything in their path, and they were heading toward us. And I tried to get the men of our village, who I knew and who knew me, to stand up and fight and be guerrilla warriors to protect everything that we had. And what I found was that the men were weak. They were pansies. And they turned their backs on me, and they thought that if they just went and hid, everything would go away. And that's what I experienced. And that's still what I experienced. There are so many people who are pansies and who will not stand up for what we have earned, what our previous generations have earned, and worked so hard to achieve, that there's so many people who are willing to not try to protect and defend that. And that's still where we are today. So nothing has changed in my past life and in my current life. And I'm sure that Dr. Shealy has some comments as well. Dr. Shealy, are you seeing that people are not willing to stand up for themselves or anybody else? Too many of us are not willing to stand up?
I would say being a wimp seems to have become common. And there's a part of me that never liked wimps. And that goes back, I'm sure, many generations.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, I'd like to say, Vincent, this is what my take on it is, okay? But by the grace of God go I. I could have been drug addicted, alcohol addicted, whatever, and gone down a very dark path. I'm still here. Working at reintegrating my deeper self, connecting to my soul, and I do not believe that it was an accident that my forefather, my great-great-grandfather, whispered to me from heaven. I believe he's in heaven. And I'm about like the seventh generation. Now, isn't that interesting? The Native Americans believe that, in planting good seeds in their tribe and their people so that the seventh generation may prosper. So I don't know that the ones that came before me actually understood this about what my great-great-grandfather experienced. But it turned out that he ended up in the Midwest, and he was in northern Arkansas. He got through the Homestead Act. He got 160 acres north of Hardy, Arkansas, on the border of Missouri and Arkansas. And I guess he was so influential in the community, and he was German, and mostly Germans lived together then. And there was like 1,500 that lived in this community, and they named the community after him. His last name was Worth. My original last name was Worth, Wirth, and there's still a town. It's only a few houses there now. But at one point it was a going small community, and it still exists. It's still in the register of the Arkansas as a town called Worth. So anyway, I believe that we and by the way, there is a movie called Andersonville. It's almost 3 hours long, and you can watch it on YouTube. And I encourage everybody to watch it, because to watch the horrors of this and really absorb it, because it's true to life, from what I gather. And it was made in the 70s. You can find it on DVD, but you can find it on VHS. But it is on YouTube. So my sense of it is, and that war, over 700,000 men died. Over 700,000, more men died in that war than all of our other wars put together. More Americans died. So anyway, I believe that we've been traumatized over and over and over, and people are carrying these traumas, and that's part of the enemy. The dark forces are against good forces, the light, and the dark forces have sought to take us down, to destroy humanity, destroy it at the soul level. So these traumas carry forth, and so no wonder men are wimps. And what really makes me is, all it takes for evil to prevail are for good men to do nothing. Well, when I think of good men, I think of men of God, men that really believe in the principles of good living, and Jesus Christ, and good family, good community, lifting others up, working together in harmony. But what I've noticed is I don't see that. I don't see that in the Christian churches. There are some, but they're the minority, extreme minority. And I look around, and my second family in this life, Vincent and Dr. Shealy, was destroyed. while I was serving in the Navy, I lost my second family. And I look around today and I see people that have families and they take them for granted. They take them for granted. I don't even know if they even have a sense of what freedom is or what it means. And you know, now we got these vaccines coming down. New York just passed a law that you can't opt out for, you know, your child. If the state says your child has to take a vaccine, you can't opt out. And I've started going to a small church in South Philadelphia. Good people, young, mostly young, and with young families. And I brought this up to them, and they seem that they're not alarmed. They're not alarmed. They still trust the medical community, the traditional medical community, medical system, industrial complex. That's you know, it's a threat. And I don't get it. Now I don't have any children. I don't, you know, but I care. It seems like I care more about our future children than they do, and they have children. Can you guys wrap your heads around that one? Do you have any comment about that? What's up with that, Dr. Shealy?
Well, you're asking us to wrap our heads around nonsense, Mark. And I can't do that. Sorry.
Right. And so by the way,
Mark,
Vincent, I'm one of your fellow warriors here. I'm doing my part. I'm a man of little means, but whatever I have, I'm trying to stir it up in a good way. Mark the spark. I'm here to, you know, stir brush fires of the minds of men and hearts and get them going. And you know, saying, you know, what can we do? You know.
Mark, what I have found is that those associated with USA Prepares are like what you just said. We are warriors, and we are trying our best to wake up people, but it's tough. And you know, honestly, I felt initially that there was probably 10% of us. Then I thought there's 5%, 3%, 1%. 1/10 of 1%. Now I'm down to 1/100th of a percent, and I really mean that. I wish I could find people who would agree with us, but I have to tell you, even where I live in the middle of nowhere, where life is tough, it really is. If you don't prepare for yourself, you're not going to survive out here in the middle of nowhere in Missouri. Even here, people think I'm crazy. I'm serious. Getting 15 signatures to nominate me just as a candidate for the board of directors to lower people's electric bill was tough. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine people who know who I am not willing to sign a petition because they're afraid of repercussions? They're afraid. One guy said he signed the petition, and then he decided, wait a minute, I can't do that. I work for the cooperative. He crossed his name off because he was afraid that he might get fired supporting me because I want to reduce the electric rates.
By the way,
can you imagine that?
Vincent,
that's where we are today.
Vincent, I lost a long-term friend from Missouri over him not standing up for what you were standing for. Okay? Because I told him, I said, you got to support this guy. He's doing really good things. Yes, it's a little radical, stirring things up, but it's stirring things up in a good way to the core of the issue. I lost a friendship because of that, but that's okay because, you know, when it comes down to it, was he really my friend if he's not willing to go to the nth degree to stand up for what's right? And when you shared, and I didn't know about the meetup groups that the group voted you out and voted Dr. Shealy out. If I'd have been there, I'd have stood up and said, "You guys are nuts! Get the heck out of my." I don't know. But I want to bring up.
Wait. I don't want you to think, Mark. I don't want you to think I got first place in that contest. Dr. Shealy got first place in getting thrown out. I was just. I was just an afterthought. It's like, yeah, now that we threw Norm out, let's throw Finelli out too. How many want to throw Finelli out?
Now, the fascinating thing about that, Vance, is they didn't have enough testosterone to continue doing anything.
Yeah, well,
right. As soon as we were removed from our own meetup, they could not continue that meetup. They
Right.
just
Gotcha.
they couldn't do it.
Well, listen, that's part of the reason why I had to leave there, because there's something about being stubborn. That's good. The Missouri Mule's an example of stubbornness. If you can't get a mule to budge if he doesn't want to budge. But then there's something called being stupid stubborn. I mean, it's just stupid, and that's why So now you're experiencing what I experienced there as a young man trying to grow up and make my way in that area. It's extremely difficult getting people to cooperate. They're very cliquish. You got a lot of big fish in little ponds and competing against each other. And here we are. Here it is, the Bible Belt. It's like you think that what I experienced was that people would rather, especially the white folks, would rather compete with each other than to cooperate. I don't get that. Still don't.
Very good. Very good point. Mark, please stay with us. We'll be right back. Dr. Norman Shealy's with us. Mark the Spark in Philadelphia is with us. And I got an email asking where I bought the Moringa. And I bought it from a company called Urban Moringa. So I can't say that this is a great company because I don't know. I haven't received the product. All I can say is I bought it from them. And I will certainly give you a full report when I receive it. Take a look at the plants, the saplings, see how they're doing, and I'll let you know how they're growing. Dr. Shealy and Mark, since you brought this up, Mark, I want to share with Dr. Shealy something I've never told him. I'll just tell him publicly. So, Dr. Shealy, you were at our farm. There were a bunch of us guys, and there were some gals here, and this was at one of those kind of like a Thanksgiving type event where there were women and men, and the women decided they were going to be cooking and preparing, and so they were in the kitchen with Mrs. Finelli, and some of the guys who had never been to the broadcast studio wanted to see it. So we went over, the guys went to the studio, and we all kind of sat around, and we had some stools and some chairs, and we sat around in the studio and talked. And you were there, Dr. Shealy, and the topic, and there were instructors there, a whole bunch of instructors. Well, not a whole bunch, but a bunch. And you mentioned past life regression. And I said, wow, I don't know anything about past life regression. I am interested in learning more about it. That was the moment that one of our instructors, a dear friend, threw up his hands. He was up in the studio with us, threw up his hands in the surrender position, turned beet red, and left where the guys were all chatting and went to where the gals were because he could not take that discussion. And that, I don't know if I've ever, I don't think I've ever mentioned that to you, but that was the moment I lost a dear friend. And from right then, he didn't want to talk to me for years until he died. Literally. Literally.
He obviously didn't know anything about the history of Christianity.
Mm-hmm. And well, he was a Bible thumping, praise the Lord, Christian. I mean, he was a, he was the poster man for Christianity. At least he thought.
What I call Christianity.
Yeah, it was very, very sad, and all because I said I was really interested in it. Dr. Shealy, please tell us more, and you did. And do you remember that, Dr. Shealy? Were you aware that?
Well, one of the best books in the history of it is Reincarnation in Christianity by an Anglican priest.
Mark, you said something very interesting. People would rather, I believe this is what you said, correct me if I am misquoting you, people would rather compete with each other rather than cooperate with each other. You are absolutely 100% right. You're absolutely right. And I think, at least in my neck of the woods in Missouri, I think it has to do with claim jumpers. So when land was being offered by the federal government, all you had to do was come out here and claim it. From the get-go, people in Missouri were stealing from each other, jumping each other's claims, because they liked that other claim better than their claim. So they'd switch claims and steal each other's land before they even got it.
Yeah. Say, Vincent, I want to ask you something. I came across something a week ago, and I was trying to email it to you, but it kept getting kicked back, so I don't know. And then I went to your website, and it's not there. Did you get a new email address?
Well, I shut down the website. We have these perverts who were trashing everybody, and what they would do, I had a list of all the instructors that had contacts, and so if you wanted to contact instructors, you could. And I would say at the beginning of the broadcast, whenever there's a list of all of your instructors on the website, USA Prepares, and so you could contact them. Well, because these perverts were calling our instructors and beating them up, I had to take the website down.
Okay. So what about your email address?
I shut that down too because I was getting threatened. These perverts were literally threatening my family. They were threatening to steal our farm. They were threatening to invade us. And that's okay. I mean, if they want to do that, it'd make the news. It would literally make the Daily Mail, skirmish on the Finelli farm, bodies everywhere. It would make the news.
I'd like to be able to communicate with you offline via email or another way. I don't know.
Do you have my number?
No. What is it? I don't have it.
Well, I can't give it to you. I don't even give out.
Okay. Maybe if I call. Maybe
I'll tell you what. I'll tell you. Yes, you can. But I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to write Mark. I'm going to my email client right now. As soon as it comes up, I'm going to type in Mark. I've got. I've got you. I'll send you an email.
Okay. Thank you, Vincent. All right. Thank you very much, Dr. Shealy. Thank you. Thank you for starting the conversation. Weekend. Keep on.
Mark, thanks so much. Mark, happy Independence Day. Dr. Shealy, thanks so much for being with us. Thank you for enduring this fight. You were in this fight before I became officially involved in the fight on the air. You've got a couple decades ahead of me, head start. I really want to commend you for that. Thank you so much for sharing your wealth of information and trying to help people help themselves. And man, is that tough.